All right, welcome to another edition of Women of Hockey. It's our Women of Hockey Week 2018, and I had to save this one for last because this is the best for last. Sorry, everybody else,
No.
but she won my heart early. It's Kendell Galor-Joerger, I appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me.
Being down here at the UNLV locker room, just outside the door with all the new fancy digs that are going on down here, but welcome aboard.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
You know, for those that don't know, give us your official title now. What are you doing? Who do you belong to?
That's a loaded question. I belong to many entities these days. So still the head athletic trainer for UNLV Ice Hockey. They can't get rid of me unless they tell me that they don't want me anymore.
That'll never happen.
I hope not. And then also a strength and conditioning intern with the Vegas Golden Knights.
Very nice. And what a good time to join the Golden Knights, not only in their inaugural season, but a run to the Stanley Cup final as well, right?
Right. It's been a crazy year.
So you obviously juggle your time, and you've got to be all the different places that you have to be. But let's talk a little bit about hockey specific, because I always start off with my interviews with, you know, how did you get involved in hockey? What was your love for hockey?
Oh, so that started actually here in Las Vegas when I was a kid. My dad was a roller hockey coach at what is now the Las Vegas Ice Center, what used to be the Crystal Palace back in the day. It was a big purple castle, had 2 roller hockey rinks, not 2 ice hockey rinks, and that's where I grew up, and that's where the love of hockey started. And moved out to Colorado, played a little bit of women's ice hockey out there, and it never went away. Played 1 semester with UNLV roller hockey before I went into the athletic training program, and kind of ran out of time for doing that, and it never stopped. Once it's there, it doesn't go away.
So athletic training became your passion, and I know you've had some opportunities. You and I talked a year and a half ago or so about a trip that you took with a national team, right? Yeah, with the Maccabi, the Jewish Olympics, with their junior open and masters teams for Team USA. And how did that team do? We brought home a silver, a bronze, and a gold. Couldn't beat that, right? Got all 3 of them? Oh yeah, no, it was fantastic. We came home very decorated. So you're used to winning, and now UNLV's made the jump from ACHA D2 to D1. Right. What was that like last year? It was a crazy season. That season specifically was one of lots of learning and growing pains, especially with me getting the job as a strength and conditioning intern with the Golden Knights. I wasn't able to travel as much as I have in the past. But they've been doing great. You know, the team chemistry seems to be doing really well. The general management staff and coaching staff has done a really great job, and I couldn't be more excited to be with them again for this coming year. You know, I know the guys love having you around. I was here for a game and watched you after a game. I actually took pictures of it, of you stitching up somebody and using the old super glue trick. Super glue, not stitching, yeah. Stitching, not stitching, just the super glue, right. Tell us how that works. You get guys with cuts all the time in hockey? All the time, and super glue is my best friend, especially when I'm working junior hockey. Those boys just all the time. But yeah, no, it works really well. It's actually very inexpensive, and when you buy it, you get it in these little tubes that you can use once, throw it away. Right. So it stays sanitary. It's, you know, it works really well, and it actually scars much less. So the boys like it. Yeah, I bet they do, huh? So I think their girlfriends like it more than they do, and their moms. Yeah, let's save the injuries as much as we can, and the scarring as much as we can, right? Right, yeah, no, I'll never forget 2 seasons ago, Axel Anderton actually had to glue his face shut 3 times in one game, and not a few months later, he was a groomsman in my husband and my wedding. So I told him, I was like, if you get 1 more of these, we're not allowing you in our wedding pictures. Right. So yeah, it's a lifesaver in hockey. Let's take a quick break. Let's come back and let's talk a little bit more about hockey on the ice here in Vegas and how it's grown and what you've seen in the last few years. Sounds good. All right, we're back for a second segment with Kendell Galor-Joerger, and
And Kendell, let's talk a little bit about hockey and hockey here in the Desert Southwest, and specifically Vegas. You've seen it from the roller level. Now you've had a chance to see a year of UNLV at D1. Right. You've seen a year of the Golden Knights. You're working with strength and conditioning with them. But let's talk about the players specifically for the Golden Knights. You told me off camera that didn't surprise you that they so acclimated into the community. But tell me a little bit about that team and how special they are.
It's, a wonderful group of guys. Every single one of them is an absolute class act and a gentleman. You see them out and about in the community. They'll stop and talk to you. They're just, every single one of them is a wonderful person. And I feel very blessed to be able to work with them.
One of the things when I first came up here and heard that the Golden Knights were going to be the Golden Knights, and I came in and I saw the facility being constructed, and you could see this is going to be a first-class organization. Right. And I told people that I knew, I said, if people don't come on board now as a Golden Knights fan, right, and if you're a free agent and you don't want to come here, you better think a couple of times about it. So the players that they got, I know they call themselves the Golden Misfits, and you probably saw that more than anybody, but tell me a little bit about what that was like with that scenario and how they all kind of bonded together.
The team just has so much chemistry, and it's really neat to see. When I came in, I really had no idea what to expect, and I didn't expect to bond with the entire organization like I have, and it feels just like working with my UNLV boys, just professionals, and it's very different, but it's a wonderful experience, and I couldn't feel more lucky to have gotten the opportunity to be with them this past year.
So when you see them out in the community, I'm guessing they know who you are, and you get a hello and this and that. But give us some experiences of some of the things you've seen them do in the community, especially after October 1. What did they do that impressed you the most?
Every single one of them has just stepped up in such a big way. You come out to a practice and you see them interacting with fans through the glass. They go above and beyond every single day to make sure that the community knows how much they care, and that's pretty much what it comes down to. They're just, again, as I said, they're just every single one of them in the organization, from the players to the coaching staff to everyone that works upstairs. Everyone is just a class act.
And that class act is now transferred over to the ice, and the young kids that are picking up the game and wanting to learn to skate and wanting to be a part of teams and wearing the black and gold of the Golden Knights. And give me some indication of what that's been like here in the community.
We had an experience with this yesterday. There was a big group of kids that was out here for a camp, and they just there's kids packed in the stands just watching a morning skate. It's just 4 guys out here shooting pucks around, and there's kids up there screaming and chanting "Go Knights Go!" And it's being someone who's grown up in hockey in Las Vegas, and hockey in Colorado too, but a lot here in Las Vegas. It's really nice to see the community really rally behind this hockey team, and I really don't think that they could have any better of role models to look after. So.
And when we talk about the opening night and the things that happened after October 1 and what your community did, and the blood drives to the fundraisers to you name it, that really brought the whole community and team together, didn't it?
Right, it really did. I mean, I know I was out there at the blood drive on Charleston the next day on the 2nd. I took my dog out there with me, and we were out there for 7.5 hours just trying to spread as many smiles as possible, and she was a champ. But, especially, for UNLV, it's really close to home for us, with Nick, and, the Knights really stepped up in such a big way with October 1, and it pulled the city together when the city needed something to rally behind. So the organization has been an absolute blessing to so many people in this city, and it'll be really exciting to see where it goes from here.
Let's take another quick break. Let's come back and let's talk about the blessing that you are, and let's also talk about your 4-legged friend, and I don't mean the German Shepherd, I mean the other one.
The horse, got it.
The horse. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. We're gonna do a final segment. Maybe we'll do more, depending on how far you go on. But Kendell, tell us a little bit about what happened to you in 2015?
2016.
2016.
June 5th of 2016. Yep.
A date that you'll never forget.
No, definitely
so
not.
The reason I call you an incredible woman is I don't know how you've gone through it. I mean, the story that you've gone and lived day to day, I know a lot of men that couldn't do it. So here we go. Hats off to you. So
I take my hat off, but you don't want to see my bald head.
So go ahead and tell us what happened in June of 2016.
So I had just finished my second semester as a graduate student, and I was having wicked headaches. They were always in the exact same spot, and they would go away with just one ibuprofen. They'd be gone for 4 to 6 hours, and then they would come back right in the exact same spot. And it was just, headaches are like lightning strikes. They're not supposed to always be in the same spot. So after this 2-week stint, I was like, okay, maybe we should start thinking about getting this checked out. And when my mother-in-law and my mom actually started also expressing their concern, that's when I decided to just buck up and go to the ER and just ask for a CT scan. They tried to send me away with migraine medication. They're like, no, you're too young. You don't need to go through all this radiation for, headaches. You probably just have migraines. And I said, you know what? No, I'm here. This is, I just have a really bad feeling. Let's just do it. Like, I have health insurance. Let's just get it over with. So they take me back for a CT reluctantly. And it was, quick and easy. They told me I'd be in the waiting room for about an hour and a half while the radiologist took a look at it. About 30 minutes later, they come back out and say, hey, we found something weird in your brain. We need to take you back for an MRI. And so at that point, they're telling me, hey, you have a mass in your brain. And so, of course, I'm 25 at this point, and I'm like, oh my God, I have brain cancer. What the heck is going on? Long story short, I leave that day thinking that there was a cyst in my brain. I went and I saw a neurologist after that, or a neurosurgeon. He told me that it was a tumor. We were watching it at that point. So I was going for MRIs periodically to watch it because I wasn't ready at that point to have surgery yet. So we watched it. We found out that it had grown posteriorly, and it was starting to kind of move towards my primary motor cortex. So at that point, I was recommended to have a biopsy, and I got a second opinion. My new neurosurgeon, my old neurosurgeon was good. My new neurosurgeon was incredible, and he went in on March 6th, and did 12 biopsies. So it was a full craniotomy. He took off a big chunk right here, took the skull off, went in, took the biopsies out. Realized that the tumor looked just like the rest of my brain, and thought, you know what, I'm not gonna mess with this. We're just gonna do the biopsies, close up, and we're gonna send her to the best of the best, which he did.
And that was all here in Vegas,
That
correct?
was all here in Vegas, yes. That was at the St. Rose Sienna campus, and they were phenomenal. The nursing staff, the medical staff, everyone out there was absolutely incredible.
I'm going to stop you right now, and I'm going to say that was March 6th.
March 6th.
What was going on UNLV-wise at that time?
They were at Nationals. I was actually watching their games streaming on my iPad. And if you remember right, one of our players got hurt at that Nationals. So I'm sitting there texting on my phone. All the moms that I know are there saying, oh my gosh, how is he? Is he okay? Checking on him. I couldn't get out of athletic training mode. And so I'm sitting there watching, I'm watching the Knights games on one iPad, and then I'm watching the UNLV games on my phone, or vice versa. And it was a process.
And one more question regarding that. Who knew about that at that time?
Until 2 or 3 days before surgery, not really anybody.
So this is something you pretty much kept to yourself and your immediate family, right?
Yep, it was my immediate family and my closest friends who had seen me a few times. Sam and Megan from UNLV, our photographer and our beat writer, knew. Because at that point I was having focal seizures, which they're not fall on the ground, start twitching seizures. They're just, visual. My eyes and my head would kind of twitch, but we didn't know what they were going to turn into. So I told them so that when we were on the road, they would know. But nobody else really knew.
So that's the first exploratory type surgery that you had here in Vegas. Let's take a quick break. Let's come back and let's talk about the next surgery.
Sounds good.
All right, we're back with another segment with Kendell Galor-Joerger. And Kendell, we left the last segment with the exploratory surgery here.
Right.
They decided they weren't going to do anything here. They wanted to send you on somewhere else. Pick it up from there.
Got you. So as soon as they got the biopsies, they sent them out to UCLA. And when the preliminary results or findings came back, that was on a Thursday that I got that call. He said, would you be able to go out to UCLA on Monday to meet with this doctor? And so I said, yeah, no problem. I can be there. So in a matter of not even a week, I was down at UCLA meeting with this new neurosurgeon who was the surgeon who took out my brain tumor. We called him Tommy. It's Tommy the tumor. And she did a phenomenal job. So 5.5 weeks later, so on April 12th, I was back out in LA. I had all my pre-op stuff the day before, and then I had surgery on the 12th, and I was down there for I was only in the hospital there for about 3.5 to 4 days before I was released, and then I came home a few days later. I actually got to see Game 4 down there at the Staples Center, so that was a very, very big treat. I had to beg and plead to go to that game. I thought I was gonna have to wear earplugs. I was really proud of myself for not having to, but that was a treat to see the boys play. So,
you know, a couple of things that stood out to me was when you and I were talking off camera. I said that had to be incredibly painful, and you said
the brain doesn't have any pain receptors, so the surgery itself wasn't actually painful, and I was off the painkillers, the prescription strength painkillers, within a day and a half, 2 days. We actually found out that there's a few that I can't take that I'm allergic to, so we had to be really careful about that. But after that, we just alternated Tylenol and ibuprofen, and that was plenty. So
very nice.
Yeah.
That's one of the things, because I'm sure you tell the guys that in the locker room, especially the UNLV guys, to suck it up when there's something painful, right?
No, usually with them, I'm telling them not to suck it up, because they'll suck it up and they'll play through the pain, even if it's something that can hurt them more. So that's, one of the things that I love about hockey players is that they, I love and I hate about hockey players is they'll try and play through anything. But no, after the second surgery, honestly, the biggest problem was because the tumor was pressing against that primary motor cortex. They had to get very close to it, and so the swelling actually caused me, I had a facial droop, so I looked like I had a stroke. This side was down, this eyelid didn't work, I would close it and it would pop right back open. It was pretty bad, and then I couldn't use this hand at all. It was just donezo. Like, if you put your fingers in my hand, I could eventually get my hand to close around your fingers, but it took a second, and then once they were there, you actually had to pry my fingers off of your hand to get it to release. So that took about, I'd say about 2 to 3 weeks to really get this back, and I did all of that rehab myself. The rest of the rehab for the cognitive and the visual, I've been seeing a PT and a visual therapist, and they've just been wonderful as far as getting me back on track for that.
So when you have a tumor, it's not always just remove it, you're done, and go on, right?
No.
Now you're going through the other part of the phase of it. So
right. So I'm about halfway through chemo and radiation now. I'm lucky I'm on oral chemo, so it's not quite as hard as a port would be or an IV. The radiation's pretty hard. They told me I wasn't going to lose my hair, and they lied. So I have this Ryan Gets Laugh thing going on right now where the hair down here is growing in, but then I have a bald spot right here. Sorry, Ryan. No offense. But yeah, so that's it's not a good look for a 27-year-old girl. But it is what it is. It's hair. It'll grow back. I'm done with treatment about midway through August. So hopefully a few weeks after the radiation is done, the hair will start growing back, and then we'll just rock the buzz cut for a while.
And then you'll be back to the on ice stuff, because the Rebels start up in mid-August, I guess, first part of September. And
I have been skating too, so I just have to wear a helmet now.
Wow. Well, that's a good thing, right?
Right.
So I want to finish up the entire story with you about couple of inspirational animals in your life. I know your dog.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that, and then you have another four-legged friend named Ben, right?
Yep, Big Ben the pig pen. He is my horse. He's a lot of people that know hockey don't know much about horses, but he's about 16'3", which is, he's tall. He's a big boy, and he's an appendix, so he's a quarter horse thoroughbred cross. And I got him 2 years ago this November, and he's so wonderful. I absolutely love him. He's the kind of horse that if you give him a cookie, his tongue will just hang out of his mouth and he just chews on it like a dork. And he's being such a good boy through all this, because I've been grounded, with a loose piece of skull, you can't exactly ride a horse.
Sure, right.
On the ice is one thing. I have control of my own 2 feet. I can't play games, but I can skate and I can coach. And then, with a horse, they've got a mind of their own. You can't control their movements. So, right. I can hang on for dear life if, God forbid, something would happen, but you just never know. So he's been a really good boy, having not been ridden for a while. But hopefully I'll be able to get on in the next month or two and be back at it. So.
Well, and by that time it'll be a little bit cooler here in Vegas too, right?
At least I missed the worst part of the summer for riding. Silver linings.
So when you have an issue like you dealt with, and then obviously there's a prognosis for the future, how are things looking for the future?
It's really hard to tell, and it's really hard to speculate. The thing about oncologists, they don't like to say the C word. They don't like to say cancer. They don't like to give you timelines or things to expect. It brings up too much liability. It gives people a lot of hope where you never know what can happen. Things change from day to day. So for me, I have about 3 more weeks of chemo and radiation, and then I get a few weeks off. So I'm going to go on a vacation before the season starts. And then after that, it's about 5 days a month of just oral chemotherapy for 6 to 12 months. And then from there, hopefully that's it. The idea is to make it so that all of this is gone, so that I don't have to go through another surgery again. So,
nobody wants to see you go through that.
No, I don't want to go through that.
So
I'd like my hair back.
When I talked to you about this initially, I said, my focus was going to be on the 3 H's, right? Horses, hockey, and healing.
Right.
I think we've accomplished almost all 3 of them now, haven't we?
I think so. One of my friends told me the other day that, the bald head, everyone looks at it as this, oh my gosh, you're sick, you have cancer. But, at the end of the day, the bald head is a sign of healing. And, when you see somebody with a bald head, just know that, they're doing everything they can to fight their fight. And it's, obviously it's not a good thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's a sign of healing. It's a sign of you're doing what you can to get healthy again. And so that's kind of what you have to focus on.
Well, I'm gonna end the interview on 3 notes. Vegas strong, Raboni strong, and now Kendell strong. Thanks for spending the time with us. I appreciate it.